Employees often say management never listens. Supervisors often say, my employees never tell me what's really going on. Can both be right? Or are they seeing the exact same situation through different responsibilities? Let's investigate. The first clue is this: people don't all have the same responsibilities, and responsibility shapes what we pay attention to. Employees see obstacles that make today's work harder. Supervisors see goals that have to be achieved. Employees notice workload. Supervisors notice budgets. Employees focus on fairness. Supervisors focus on consistency across the entire team. Neither perspective is wrong. They're incomplete. Each person is seeing only the part of the picture they're responsible for. That leads us to the next piece of the puzzle. We don't notice everything. We naturally pay attention to what we're responsible for. An operator notices that one machine is taking an extra minute every cycle. A supervisor notices that the department missed production for the day. An executive notices that profits are slipping. They're all looking at the same operation, but through different lenses. Let me give you an example from my own experience. I remember a time when we were building an engine analyzer. The display unit was installed very early in the assembly process, but it wasn't adjusted until the final assembly step. If the display turned out to be defective at the end, replacing it meant tearing apart much of the assembly. It was a time-consuming rework. The team came to me with an idea. Why don't we adjust the display as soon as we install it and then make the final adjustment during the last assembly step? At first, I wasn't convinced. Not because I wasn't listening. I was thinking about consistency, quality, and what would happen if we adjusted the display multiple times throughout the process. So instead of making a quick decision, we investigated it together. What we discovered was that both perspectives had value. The team's idea reduced the risk of major rework if the display turned out to be defective. But we also needed to make sure the display could be adjusted across its full operating range when it was first installed before making the final adjustment at the end of the assembly process. Their idea wasn't rejected. It wasn't fully understood. Once we investigated the facts from everyone's perspective, we ended up with a better solution that either of us started with. That experience taught me something I've never forgotten. People often assume no one is listening, when in reality, everyone is trying to solve the same problem from the responsibilities they've been given. Understanding those different perspectives is what turns disagreement into improvement. So, where does communication actually begin to break down? Sometimes employees present a solution. They're thinking, this will make the job easier. Management is thinking, how will this affect quality, cost, consistency, and the rest of the operation? Sometimes management explains a decision. They're thinking and trying to protect the operation. Employees hear, my idea doesn't matter. Same conversation, different filters. Neither side intended that outcome. Each side simply interpreted the conversation through its own responsibilities. When you put all this together, something interesting happens. Maybe the problem isn't that people aren't listening. Maybe they're listening for different things. So instead of asking, why don't they listen? Ask yourself, what are they responsible for that I don't fully understand? That one question changes the entire investigation. Maybe the better question isn't, why don't they listen? Maybe it's, what are they listening for? Because when we become curious, we stop assuming. When we investigate, we begin to understand. And understanding reveals the right problem to solve, because you can't change what you don't understand.